Hey guys, I'm Morthadon, and we are back for My Hero Academia, Season 7, Episode 8. So, a couple orders of business real quick here. I did hurt my neck. Granted, it's feeling better today, and I also took ibuprofen not too long ago, so it hasn't been bothering me too much since right before I started recording and everything. But if you hear me do any, moans and groans, it's probably because I turned it the wrong way or something like that. And if you're just wondering why I'm making pain noises. And then if you hear other moaning and groaning, that isn't me. My little puppy's with me too. Well, she's not a puppy, she's very old, but she's sleeping over in the corner of my room, and sometimes she snores or makes loud noises. So if you hear something weird like a pig, she kind of sounds like a pig. She's a little Boston Terrier that makes little snorting noises. It's probably her. So just letting you guys know on that. But with all that out of the way, we have an episode to watch, and last time it was a little bit of recap and a lot of talking about I guess I like the stuff that we got, but it was going over the plan. It was going over the plan that they had, so that way we knew what went wrong, but I think we already figured out what went wrong, so I don't think that whole beginning part of the episode was super necessary. But it is what it is, and we had a lot of talking between Dabi and Shoto and Toga and Midoriya and stuff like that. Midoriya took off, he's headed back. We also had Shigaraki's mystery meet, which, if you want to hear my opinion on that, I talked a lot about it in the discussion of last episode, so I won't go into that here. I did have one interesting thing I wanted to mention real quick here. I'll try to be fast with it because it's a little lengthy. I was thinking about the show, and if we have the idea that Midoriya wants to save people, right? And then we have Dabi and Shoto. If Shoto can somehow save Dabi, if Uraraka can somehow save Toga, if Midoriya can somehow save Shigaraki, and then, you could even have, Iguchi, right? Spinner, his fan, he's a fan of Stain. So what if Stain came in again and talked to Spinner? And legit, pretty much everybody on the force of All For One could be swayed by their emotions, which All For One lacks. And that could be just, the most ironic thing to him, is just losing everyone that's on his side again. And that could be a way of defeating him. I just thought it'd be, an interesting twist rather than just, beat all the people. Because none of them seem super loyal to All For One. They just all want to do whatever they want, right? Even Shigaraki. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they all turned on him. Anyway, that's, a brief, I could go into more depth, but it's already been too long. So let's jump into the episode, shall we? We're going to start here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Police station. Ah, this guy. He's the one that helped, Who is that? Ah, Garaki. Okay. He's also the one that arrested Gentle Criminal and... Warp seeds worthy of becoming vessels. What does that mean? Was he given more quirks, maybe? Vessels for more quirks? Interesting. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out this episode, or we'll talk about it after. I let a small part of me be like, is he gonna go get Gentle Criminal, bring him into the fight? But I immediately also thought I was foolish for that, because Gentle Criminal kind of feels like... I don't want to call it filler, because I don't know that it was. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know if it was in the manga or not. But he doesn't feel like he's a character that would, return to save us, you know? He feels like a character for that arc, and then we never really see him again. Maybe he pops up for, a quick slice-of-life moment to know he's doing pretty good. La Brava. He was freaking awesome, though. I love him. Touching on this again. I do feel bad for the kid, but the choices he made once he grew up and understood right from wrong, I do blame Dabi for those. Ugh. Even in that moment, he's just trying to prove himself. Maybe talking about the Quark. Jeez. Oh, wow. Interesting. All for One found him before he found Shigaraki? Huh. Mr. Sunny. Wow, has he been in a coma for a long time? 3 years! I was gonna say he's older, but he doesn't seem like he realizes it. I like how the voice in his head is higher pitched than what his actual voice is. That's really cool. Like he's still a kid in his head. And... what is that thing? Hmm. So at one point there was some urge for redemption after that night. Until it's warped by this guy. Damn. Do they enhance his body, then? Because he does use his power. Was that their test for Shigaraki, maybe? Wow, so All for One couldn't wrangle him in. Okay. Oh, okay. That's what he meant by vessels. Was a spare body for if Shigaraki didn't work out. So he's the wild card. Oh. Hmm. Damn. Just pure anger holding him together. Hmm. Oh, this was when he was training him. Jeez, look at that setting. Oh my god, he is just burning even more. Oh my god. Well, shit. Guess we might not be saving him if he has a time limit. Mmm. Damn. Jesus. Man, you can see it's like there's fire in his mouth too. It's like he's freaking the embodiment of his flames at this point. Shit, man. It's pretty crazy. Alright. This is when he realized the... Yeah. He could never catch up. Wow, the statue's melting. Damn. Not All Might. So he, like, lost a lot of his sensation for pain, but it didn't stop the effect it had on his body. Oh, it's Hell Spider. Yep, it's one of his moves. Couple of the fire users kind of tanking it, redirecting. Oh shit. Jeez. Come on, Shoto. I wonder if it's possible that Shoto could get the blue fire. That'd be kind of crazy. It might not clash well with his ability, though, having, like, the blue fire and blue ice. Because his ice almost looks like fire coming off him right now, right? So it kind of look like he's just using both. Oh, that's cool. Having... Oh, and the building's freezing. Similar to what he did in one of his first battles. Oh, shit. He's a cold boy. Freeze. Flashfire freeze. Maybe, maybe not. I love this background track. Yep. Man buns. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Damn. Oh, that was such a good moment. Yeah. Damn. It's a pretty cool effect on his chest. Phosphor. Nice. Damn. He's still just he's still just focused on power. It's been his problem this whole time, ever since he was a kid. Uh-oh. Oh my god, the floor is just melting. Oh, where'd he go? Did they protect him? Oh my god, did he just tank the hit? Wow. They gave him the time. Man. Oh man. Yeah. Wow, that was a ways back too. That was when they developed their first ultimate moves. Oh shit! Oh. Cool him down again. Oh, his arms are freezing. Jeez. Oh, the young Toya. Couldn't really tell if that was a younger Todoroki there. Jeez. Yep, he's always been good at mass ice. Damn. Shit. Alright. I don't know if Dabi's completely done or not, but alright. I will say, there's a part of me, I was thinking towards the end of the episode, I was like, okay, so clearly, like, as this episode went on, I was like, clearly we're getting a all Shoto and Toya episode. And at first I was like, it kind of stinks not seeing some of the other fights, but there's also a part of me that the way it was kind of, I don't want to say it was drawn out because that makes it seem bad. I loved it, right? But it was a lot of going through what made them who they are for the both of them, and those ideals clashing against each other, right? And I don't think I would have liked it as much if it took like 4 episodes and we just kept cutting back and forth between all the other fights that are going on, and we'd cut there and then just have them talk about being angry with each other, or like with the family or whatever. You know, like getting basically this episode split into 4 episodes while jumping between other fights. I think it probably would have made me dislike the storyline quite a bit, but getting it all jam-packed into 1 episode and everything, I think was good. But that is it for episode 8. But yeah, man, alright. We learned about Shoto's new move. We saw him practicing it before, regulating, like... So he's using, like, the ice and the fire around his heart in order to kind of pump the heat and the cold through his body to, like, regulate both sides, right? And keep, you know, I'm guessing, like, kind of, I don't know if it's actually going through his bloodstream, but whatever he's doing is helping keep the cold side warm enough to not, like, freeze himself to death, right? And keep the hot side hot enough to, cold enough to not burn himself up like Dabi has. And that's really cool. And then he just kind of keeps that running. It's a lot like Midoriya's full cowling, right? Where he just has this thing like fully running on his body the whole time. And then he does attacks off of that, right? Where it's like he has attacks coming from his fists rather than like it's not like that thing in his chest is an attack, right? I don't know if he could ever like last ditch effort like burst it out and use it as an attack. I don't know, but at least for now it's just something to essentially enhance his body in the way his body functions while he performs his other moves at a such higher level that he can, you know, freeze half the city and not freeze himself. So it was really cool to learn that new move. It's really cool having like the regulated stuff that you can like actually go in and touch, where it's like cold flames and all that. And I like how, you know, he was saying how Endeavor created Shoto essentially to have that cold that can regulate the heat, but he's kind of doing the opposite. He's like using the heat. I mean, he's having it in perfect synergy, right? But he's using a lot of cold right now because he's countering the heat from Toya. So, I mean, he could probably do the same thing like that big blast of cold he just did. He could probably do the same thing with fire if he really wanted to. But I kind of like for this fight, for the symbolism of it, we have him more focused on his ice power, and the heat is kind of regulating the ice at this point. So that's really cool. But yeah, we got a bunch of Toya's past, how he survived that fiery night. It was all for one that took him in and tried to groom him like he did Shigaraki, like he did so many others. But the hate within Toya was just so deep that even all for one, with all of his scheming and words and everything that he's been so good at manipulating people, he was not able to manipulate Dabi. And since then, he's been a wild card. The only reason they let him live after leaving that night is because his body was supposed to only last like a month. And for whatever reason, I mean, they explained it as being his hate. And I mean, I wonder if that really is all it is. Like, was his willpower just so strong he was able to survive? Or maybe he found a means that just no one knows of, and they just attributed it to his, like, will to survive was so big that he found a way, he found some scientist or something that could prolong his life. I don't know. And maybe that's just what they mean by his will. I always, like, I'm sometimes not the biggest fan in shows when they have that, like, oh, his will was just so strong he was able, because like I can see living like a few extra months to be able to fulfill something if you have like a, you know, if you have like a you're gonna die within a month thing and then you last like a few months after it, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it does happen to people who have been given like, oh, you probably only have a few months to live, and then they live years. So, I mean, it is something that happens. But I figured with what was going on with him, I figured science would have it be more definitive that it was going to happen. And sometimes I'm not the biggest fan of like, oh, it's just his willpower. It's like, all right, you know, like, but um, but it is what it is. Like I said, maybe he did do some other things. Maybe he did find some scientist or something. But regardless of the fact, before he left, he was supposed to be another vessel for All for One. Excuse me. And that's just really interesting. I mean, it makes sense that All for One would prepare more than just Shigaraki, right? Because if anything happened to Shigaraki, if one of the fights Shigaraki ended up dying up until now, it's like you don't want to have to start from scratch, right? So you have like some of these other vessels prepared. Like who knows that where Mr. Sunny is, he left there, but all those kids that were there could still be there as, you know, older people still just trapped there. He could have thousands of people like trapped in facilities somewhere that are their bodies have been built since childhood to be a vessel for him. Hell, I even wonder if, like, now that we're setting up the idea that people, like, he has all these extra vessels everywhere, and I mean, it makes sense. It's something we could have thought of before, but we had so much going on, I just didn't even really think about it. We still have that lingering thread of Midoriya going and getting his, like, tested to see if he has a quirk when he's a child, and Garaki being the one that tested him. Like, we still have that looming thread. Is it possible that something happened back there when Midoriya was a kid? Like, because they x-rayed his foot, right? Like, maybe somehow during the x-ray his quirk was stolen, or was he, you know, maybe he really was just always quirkless, I don't know. But is it possible that they stole quirks from kids in order to make quirkless children, so that way they could have, like, maybe they were running some experiments with quirkless kids in order to, you know, if you start with a quirkless kid, maybe the transferring of All for One's, like, persona or whatever, like what's happening with Shigaraki, could be easier. That could just be one of the experiments they worked on, and maybe it never amounted to anything, but maybe at one point Midoriya was supposed to be one of those candidates to be a vessel, right? Like, and maybe they were waiting for him to get older, and then they were gonna, like, pull him in and groom him, but he ended up getting, like, meeting All Might before that and everything. I don't know. It's just like a theory. Now that we know of vessels, it's like, okay, could they have been preparing Midoriya for something like that? I'm still wondering if that's ever going to come back. Like, I feel like it has to. Like, why, if you're going to do some storytelling, why are you going to have Garaki be the doctor? Like, why not just have it be a random doctor if it never comes back to amount to anything, right? I don't know. So, it just seems like it has to. But, that's crazy. He was in a coma for 3 years after that incident, and I love the effect of, like, we heard him talk for a brief moment, and I could tell his voice was deeper, and I could tell he looked older. And I didn't really say anything because I wasn't sure if we just, like, time skipped or if he was, like, first waking up. But the way he reacted when he first woke up made it feel like he was waking up from a coma. And then when, like, we realized what was going on, we had the voice in his head, which still sounded like he did 3 years prior, but his body had matured and he sounds, like, different. And that's, like, it's got to be, like, a really messed up thing. I wonder if that would really happen if you were, like, until you got used to it, of course. I imagine there'd be, like, a certain amount of time that eventually your new voice would become the voice in your head, but like when you hear yourself in your head, I feel like you kind of like, I don't know, it's really hard to think about because if I think about hearing my own voice in my head, I don't hear it as my own voice, you know, because I'm thinking it, I'm not hearing it, right? So it's like, but I think my perception is that it's similar to how I hear myself talk. So it's one of those really weird things where would I think of myself as talking with a higher pitch if I was in a coma from childhood to adulthood, right? And I just wonder if that's like a real thing. It's really interesting to think about. But man, it's pretty crazy. And obviously we have just the clashing between uh Shoto and Dabi where you know he's just they talked how he's just a monomaniac and I wanted to look up like the definition of a monomaniac because I've heard the word before but I don't really know what it means. Monomaniac. Maybe like like mono usually means like one or singular or something. So maybe like a maniac towards one goal. A person exhibiting an exaggerated or obsessive enthusiasm for a preoccupation with one thing. Yeah. So basically he's crazy for the one thing, the you know, his father essentially. So man, I wonder if this is it for him. Does Dabi wake up and the fight continues a little bit? Like that felt like he like slumped over his shoulder. Like, but is it over? Like I'm always questioning it in anime. Like I guess once he's in cuffs and carried away or something like that, maybe we'll get a final answer. But they set him up as being such a wild card. I kind of hope there would be some kind of maybe redemption during the fight. Like when they started saying that even they couldn't like mold him to be with them, which to me meant them saying like we're worried about him, like he could be a problem, and then having Shoto be here and I was like maybe Shoto can get through to him and turn him and then you know, and then he's working for us, and that wild card that they kept near them, you know, just backfired on him. But at least for now, it seems like, you know, based off the ending of the episode, it seems like he's just defeated. I guess we'll see what happens. So I'm looking forward to it, though. That's gonna be it for me. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed. Make sure you check out my Patreon if you want to see more. Links in the description below. I guess you won't be seeing more of this show because I watch it as it releases every week. But there is more content on there. My early access tier has 2 episodes ahead for the other shows on my channel. And then I also have my Patreon shows where I'm watching things like Stranger Things is just finishing up, Last of Us is on there, the rest of Better Call Saul, and I'm starting Watchmen. So that'll be popping up on there soon too. So check all that out. And for anime, I'm watching Frieren right now, Beyond Journey's End. So it's a very good show. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in my future reactions. Bye-bye.